Spotlight.
This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you an exclusive interview with Dr. S. Somanath, Chairman, ISRO, on important missions of Indian Space Research Organisation. Interviewer is Pallava Bagla, Senior Journalist.
India has had a glorious year in the space ecosystem. India's space missions have done incredibly well with Chandrayaan 3, Aditya, and most recently with the launch of the space docking experiment. Today we speak to Dr. S. Somanath, Chairman of the Indian Space Research Organisation and somebody who has left a deep mark on India's space ecosystem. Thanks a lot for speaking to Akashvani, Dr. Somanath.
Thank you so much.
First things first, how is the space docking experiment going on, sir?
Space docking experiment is our first attempt to try out docking. So every first attempt has its own challenges. So we are learning our baby steps now. Some of the attempts that we did not materialize into final docking. But we have learned many lessons, did all the corrections. And once again, the satellites are coming closer. Today, it will come closer. Maybe in the coming days, we will decide when to do the docking. We are finalizing some of the trimming maneuvers and programs that will help us to do docking safely. We need to do many corrections and amends to the whole of the planned things to make sure that nothing untoward happen. So I can tell you the horse satellites are in very good health and the docking will happen in a few days from now.
Excellent to hear that. Our first attempt to do space docking. And when India does that, India will become the fourth country in the world to do that. Alongside the SpaceX experiment, we also had the experiments on POEM. How have the experiments on POEM panned out? They are still ongoing.
They are still ongoing. There were 24 experiments, 10 from private NG startups and etc., academic institutions, and rest from the ISRO laboratories. And there were some of them very highlighted through the social media, which includes the biological experiments, the robotic arm, and the other, some of the propulsion-related experiments. But there were many other elements. We were testing it for ISRO's own program expansion, where technology elements are involved. I can tell you all of them have gone through one round or more than a round of testing and feedback. And they are continuing, and it will continue for next another 1 month plus, depending upon the fuel or gas remaining on board. The power protection, the control and stability of the platform is excellent. We are able to get the videographs of many of the systems, including the plant experiment as well as the robotic arm experiments. There are data which will come through other measurements like Langmuir probes and electron counters and things like that. And some of the electronic devices, which include some testing of laser initiation systems, propulsion testing. All of them gave good results. Telemetry data has been given to the concerned teams. They are analyzing. They are very happy about it.
All in all, space docking experiment so far has been successful.
The success is ultimate goal is docking, though that every step that we learn through this process is a journey. So through that we learned many things, because formation flying up to satellites is another important goal that we have, because keeping at a known distance and fly precisely is another very critical knowledge that we have. It has a combination of sensors and propulsion. Up to this, it does very, very well. So I can say up to now, it is really going smooth.
I am so happy to hear that. Now let us recount some of the important missions which have been undertaken. Under your leadership, India soft landed closer to the south pole of the moon at the Shiv Shakti point. Just live that moment for us once.
Leaving a moment in history, I think that is something which I don't dwell on past glories. I believe looking forward and look for greater challenges. But of course, it is etched in our memory very well that we had done the soft landing. And this soft landing is a result of many years of hard work. After understanding that we could not make it in the Chandrayaan 2 soft landing, the corrections, the lessons that we learned, simulations of years, then taking decisions to do this, understand the risks and confidence. I think that has paid very well, and we were able to do the soft landing, not only the soft landing, but also many things beyond that. So we achieved bigger goals than that, including the bringing the lander up again, getting the science out of all the 5 instruments very well, also bringing back the orbiter back to the Earth's orbit. I think we got more than what we wanted from that mission because we were able to take calculated risks and then do missions because our team was confident to do that. And I want to salute them. And more importantly, the landing was such a precious moment for us because our Honorable Prime Minister was with us and he was with us and for congratulating and embracing the glory and the success. And also he shared with us when he visited us in a few days from then. And that made an impact in all our minds. And we decided to look at a new path for the 2047 vision. Everything started from that point. So that's why it's a very glorious point.
Absolutely. Not just the moon. From the moon to the sun, you managed quite a bit. Tell me a little bit about the Aditya L1. How is the satellite doing? Are we getting good results? First solar observatory by India?
Yes, Aditya L1 is the first solar observatory by India. But then you should remember when we planned the Aditya L1, it was never supposed to go to L1. It was supposed to be in orbit of Earth. But later, the whole design was changed to go to Lagrangian point because it is much more a vantage point, giving 24/7 visibility. But then it posed many challenges of designing the craft to go up to that point, the propulsion, the guidance to reach a distance 3 times the distance of from here to the moon, positioning it into the Lagrangian point, inserting it precisely with a complex very guidance. And I must say that part is great journey, reaching up to the Lagrangian point, putting in an orbit which is a halo orbit. It has done its second orbit. Now it is into the third orbit phase. We recently took a review of all of that. And all the instruments are looking very good. Some of them have certain deficiencies which has been analyzed by the scientists. But most of the data has been now made available. Terabytes of data has been open to the user community of scientists. After the principal investigators have gone through it, we have brought out some good scientific outcome out of it, which is very unique. And it also complements the solar heliophysics outcome that has come from other missions, complements them and produce excellent global knowledge about sun. And this is a solar maxima period in terms of CMEs. And these years we were able to observe fantastically well the data. And I think it will help us, our scientists, to make better models to predict space weather phenomena connected with the sun.
Before I come down to what this year looks like, let me also ask you about that landmark moment when the government of India cleared a roadmap till almost 2047 for Indian Space Research Organization and also cleared over 31,000 crore rupees of money allocation. Tell me a little bit about this roadmap and what was Prime Minister Narendra Modi's role in that?
He has been such a supportive role. I must tell you that he first triggered us to sit in a Chintan Shiver of the entire Department of Space. We sat through that for 3 days and then brought out every segment of our work into the top level management review. Then asked all of us to work in multiple teams to create a vision document for Department of Space and ISRO and our entire space sector of the country. This was first prepared. And this was again shown to our Honorable Prime Minister, presented to them and converted into a vision where his thought process were also incorporated. And finally, that became the Space Vision 2047, under which now, after his review and clearance, then we started working on multiple projects, and which includes the expansion of the human space flight program, building of a Bharatiya Antariksh Station, continuation of missions to Moon in the Chandrayaan series, looking at other planetary exploration as a major topic, then human spaceflight leading to landing on the moon. All of this happened as part of it. But that is a grander vision which takes time and money. But the initial part of the projects which are now approved are sufficient for the first phase. We need to go through 2 more phases. And once you commit on the first phase, naturally, the rest of that is committed subject to your ability to complete the first phase and success and timelines that you are able to stick to. That will decide the phase 2 and phase 3 of it. And this goes with our ability to do it within ISRO with the support of industry. So which involves developing new rockets called NGLV, developing the missions to Gaganyaan, docking with the International Space Station, flying our astronauts in other missions, etc. are involved as part of this greater vision.
What does this year look like now? How many missions are you planning?
This year, we are not looking at counting numbers. I am very clear about number game is not the game for us. We are looking at impacts that we make by doing what our work is. Our work is not only in missions, but also in working with many stakeholders, in transitioning in converting the vision into reality, especially the space sector reforms. So it's a hand-in-hand work. So in terms of specific launches that are going to take place, there are launches of PSLV, GSLV, GSLV Mark III, and also satellites like the Technology Development Satellite 01, the NAVIC 02, the NISR 1, then the commercial launch using LVM3. Then there are strategic missions, and there are other remote sensing missions which we are committed. There are missions which are important for Earth observation, for strategic users. Then there is the inter-satellite link satellite which we are developing for Gaganyaan purpose that are to be launched. Like that, there are plenty of satellites in pipeline which need to be completed, and also new developments and technology development that are to take place parallel.
Next launch will be the 100th launch of ISRO from Sriharikota. What a glorious moment it will be, and what are we launching on the 100th launch?
The current integration activity going on in SDSC, there are 3 launches are getting prepared. The first launch is for the GSLV with a NAVIC second series in the revised series of NAVIC 02. This is going to be the 100th launch, I suppose, if everything goes well. This is scheduled by the end of January. Then we also have other launches, which includes the commercial launch of LVM3 and Gaganyaan launch. Both of them are parallelly going on. Of course, commercial launch has a strict timeline. Gaganyaan is based on technological completeness of everything readiness, and test and completion ready for launch. It will depend on that's progress, but rocket assembly is going on now. We are also working on other launches, which includes the GSLV as well as PSLV.
Are you happy that an American communication satellite, a dedicated launch from India, a big launch?
Yes, it is a big launch. It is not just one launch that I am looking at, because this launch is very critical, because it is one of the new technology like direct to mobile satellite communication technology. And once it is going and successful, the likelihood of getting more contracts for launches are in the offing. So we look at making it happen very well, so that the commercial prospect of LVM3 can be substantially increased, which has already happened when we launched the OneWeb series of satellite. And we have also have discussions with the OneWeb team in their second generation satellites launches, which of course I am expecting 3 more launches contracts soon.
Now, let us spend a little time on the startups, because in your tenure, we saw a mushrooming of space startups, and that came as part of the reform process which the government of India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi initiated. How is that going, sir?
I need to tell you that it's going exceedingly well. The startup ecosystem has developed, and the space domain has become a flagship type of thing in terms of outcome and growth. We look forward for greater glory in this, especially with the upstream side, the launcher and satellites, which gives more attention. But equally important is that it's a work happening in the downstream in terms of application delivery and business, which are increasing in terms of communication and PNT, Earth observation, then debris catching, ground equipments, manufacturing, services, etc., etc.
Let us spend a few minutes on Gaganyaan. What is the progress on Gaganyaan?
Already the Gaganyaan progress has been well brought out in the public. We have revised our targets to 2026 now to make the first manned mission. But now we are getting ready for the first uncrewed mission. The human-rated rocket is now getting ready, which is a very complex change and infrastructure for that rocket, which is first time made ready, and with all qualification testing successfully completed. We did a award test of a technology 3D vehicle, which showed the crew module escape system proving, which is also going to be part of this Gaganyaan first uncrewed mission. The crew module and service modules the flight stages are under integration and reaching finalization soon. So we are all getting ready for a launch in another few months.
So Gaganyaan will get done. What are the future challenges for the Indian space ecosystem?
I see the bigger challenges are in terms of its ability to get orders and economic value of the work that they are doing. The technologies, definitely we have made a very clear definition and possibility, but everything is done for a purpose. In terms of satellites that are built, it must be utilized, it must create businesses, it must also create value for everyone who is investing in it. And we should also be able to market it both domestically and internationally. The use in governmental applications should increase. And we should also bring in collaboration with other industries. We also have to go into other domains like reusability so as to bring down the cost substantially, at least in a few years from now, for whatever we are doing. So it will go hand in hand, growth of the applications, growth of the business, and the production capability enhancement is what I think it has to increase.
A recent study has shown that for every rupee spent on the Indian space ecosystem, the Indian space ecosystem has given back 2 rupees and 52 paisa. So there is huge return on investment for whatever is spent on the Indian Space Research Organization. India looks forward to a glorious future for the Indian Space Research Organization and to the Indian space ecosystem. Always a pleasure speaking to you, Dr. Somanath. Thanks a lot for speaking to Akashvani.
Thank you so much.
You were listening to an exclusive interview with Dr. S. Somanath, Chairman, ISRO, on important missions of Indian Space Research Organization. Interviewer was Pallava Bagla, Senior Journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani.